Welcome back to Current Pest Control. Today we're going to be looking at 3 little nukes that I did a late season removal, October, I think even a couple of them done in November. One of which was a split that I created in October because one of my rescues went queenless. So I've got to do something with these queens in order to try to salvage the queens. So I think I've got an idea of what to do, but I want to show you exactly what I'm looking at. As a beekeeper, you got many options. You can try to feed them, you can try to nurse them, bring them in on cold nights. But realistically, the larger the operation you go, it's either live or let live. And hopefully I can make these queens get some productivity out of this upcoming season. So let me show you what I got. I've added a little bit of protein patty just to try to maybe get some larvae going in the right direction with these girls. But I just really don't think they've got the numbers to even keep larvae warm. I mean, look at that little cluster. That's it. I mean, 100 bees, 200 bees, maybe. But the important thing is, I've got a queen right there that is mated. So we're gonna take her, pick her up by the wings or by the thorax, and then I'm gonna go ahead and grab a couple of bees to stick in there with her. So now we've got a queen, we've got a couple of attendants, and I'm gonna go ahead and band her back in with her small little cluster for now, until we get this entire colony out to the bee yard. And get her into a hive. See, nothing on this frame. It looks like this one froze out during that snowstorm that we got the other day. And that's what I was afraid of. Got the queen right there. But I just don't think that they did anything with it. I'll put her in here just in case they're in a tupor state, which doesn't show any signs of life. Because they're hanging on to the frame. They're not falling off of the frame, so we'll see if they're just in a torpor state. And this last one, this one's a little bit stronger of a colony. This one I pulled out of a water meter box in Waxahachie. You see, they got good, strong numbers, but not really enough to do what I need them to do. So we'll add these numbers to another colony. That way it benefits both. hopefully the queen's on this one that is trying to, there it goes. Hopefully she's on here. Yep, there she is right there. All right, I've got her in the clip. So we'll go ahead and put her into this cage as well. And then I'll show y'all exactly what we'll do to create, she's right up here, to create a way to save these bees and create those early season splits. So stay tuned to the bee yard is next. Thank you. Okay, so we made it out to the bee yard. I'm gonna go through a few of these hives to try to determine which one is gonna be a good candidate to be able to put those extra queens in from those failing hives or failing nukes. I'm thinking this one may be. And what I'm gonna do is use this double screen divider board. It's 3/4 inch pine. I've got 1/8 inch hardware on this side, 1/8 inch hardware on this side, so that way they cannot share queen pheromones between where I'm going to put the queen down in the brood box, leave the existing bees that are in this top box alone, and then they'll have their own separate exit right out this back side. So let's go through and see if this is going to be a good candidate for it. Ultimately, what I'm looking for is food stores, not just up above, but also down below, because if I separate the queen from food stores, or the hive, the cluster from the food stores, then I could end up with a starving situation down below, and that would ultimately cause the fail of one of these hives. So right away I can see that I've got plenty of food stores above. So we still got plenty of food up above, but I need to make sure the queen is not up here, so that way I can split them off. Got the whole city riled up over here now. It's about 52 degrees out, so I don't want to spend a lot of time in here, but I do need to be thorough. That's all food stores. Okay, the queen's not on that one. She's not on there. So you just want to go through in all these areas that are clustered up like this. You want to give them a good tap to move them around a little bit, just to make sure that the queen is not hiding within these little clusters. And from the looks of it, she's not. Okay, one more to look at up top. And I took him fed all the way through October. So that way come January, February, I didn't have to worry about having to put sugar blocks or anything like that on these hives as an emergency feed. I prefer not to emergency feed if I can avoid it. Okay, so the queen's not up here. She's definitely down below. So what I want to do is go ahead and add a shake of bees to this top. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My frame's short up here, but it'll be all right. I'll be able to, all I'm trying to do is just save a failing colony. So I'm not too worried about quantity of frames this time of year. So you can see I've got plenty of bees in this box to be able to sacrifice off a shake of bees into the top box, as long as I don't shake the queen. So we'll pull the frame from this outside edge. Well, trying to break propolis this time of year is a difficult thing. It doesn't like to move like it does in the summer whenever it's nice and gummy. And if you're trying to break them this time of year, there is a good possibility that you can actually take and break your frames. So you want to be very cautious on how much force you put. Okay, those 3 frames were dry. There's nothing in them. So I've got to start finding some food. It's got a little bit there. That one's dry, but right there's 4 frames that are completely void of food. So if I separate this off the way it sits, they could starve out. Okay, we got some food here. I want to keep that food right next to the cluster. The last thing you want to do is take and move those empty frames over this time of year, you know, thinking that maybe the queen will start laying. You got to keep that food right next to the cluster, because if it gets too cold, especially in the northern climates, it may be too cold for them to break cluster and move over. So we got a little bit, maybe a quarter of a frame of brood there on one side, same on the other. Not seeing any larvae just yet. So if you haven't already done your Varroa treatments, it looks like it's still a good time to do it, because if you're doing oxalic treatment, you want to do it with as little brood in the colony as you can get. And here you can see the brood starting to emerge. This will be this year's spring bees. And there's some on this other side as well. They're just clustered all around it, trying to keep that brood warm. So I don't want to take too many bees from this bottom part, because they need the warmth to keep that brood warm as well. A little bit more brood right here, right in the center. Same on this side here. Yeah, I've got some fresh eggs here, so I'm getting closer to where the queen should be. So maybe she's on this next frame. Alright, and she's right here in the middle. Okay, so I've got a location on her. So we'll put that back together. And then we'll take this one, shake them down. All right, so now I absolutely have to have a frame of brood to go into that, or a frame of food to go into that box. So let's turn this camera this direction, because I know this one has a lot. It's a very aggressive colony. With a dwindling cluster. So whenever it really warms up, I'm going to swap out this homemade box that I built on a shoestring budget. And replace it with a proper box. All right, so there's a good frame of food, solid on both sides. That'll give them enough food to keep them going in the right direction. And then we'll put this frame over here for them. All right, so I'm gonna do that to a couple of other ones. So what you want to do on this is have your entryway facing opposite of the main entry. Put your box right down on top of that. So whenever I come back, the queen will need some protein because there's no protein in this top box. So we'll put a little pollen patty on there. I'll come back tomorrow whenever it's a little bit warmer. That'll give them a chance to let the heat from the larger established colony down below heat the what's now going to be a split, and keep that one alive going through the rest of the winter. And if I always need more food, I've got this resource hive to be able to pull from. So I'll take some of these, do the same over here, make sure they've got food, and then put another screen right in between them. I'll do the same thing either with that one or one of those three. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see. All right, we've made it out to the bee yard. You noticed yesterday we did the putting the queen or the division boards in between. This queen is still not really doing much, so while I'm working on these other ones, I'm just going to set her right on top of this cluster and see if maybe they can breathe some life into her and see what happens. You can tell they're not really paying much attention to her at all. I mean, they're checking her out, but in reality, it doesn't look like it's going to do much of any good. So what I may end up doing is just going ahead, and this was the hive that didn't have a lot of resources down below. So I might just go ahead and take that division board out and just let them be one hive. Alright, so for this one, this was the second one that we had put the division board on. Want to make sure that we've still got plenty of bees in the top. And I don't so what I'll do is use this one that's a little bit more aggressive, and just shake these girls down into here. We've got plenty of bees here. we've got their queen right there. So now they've got plenty of food, plenty of stores, and a much better chance at getting through the winter by using the heat from the hive down below as their primary heat source. And then put their queen right there in the middle. And I'll leave that cap just for a moment to let the flyers resettle back in. Now let's see if we cap enough bees in this one to go ahead and do that second one. I've got a good amount of bees in here. Go ahead and add the remaining bees from that cluster, and then place the queen right on top. And it definitely sounds like they're happy to have a queen. They're not trying to ball the cage or anything like that. They're coming up, greeting her. And that's exactly what we want to see. So we'll go ahead and make a little space. Pull that back in. So now they can chew on that candy plug, and then she should be released in a day or two. So I hope you liked the video. Nice little tutorial on what to do with a failing nucleus colony if you've got the resources and you've got a strong enough hive to be able to make an early season split. If I didn't have mated queens, that would have been a useless endeavor. There's just no way to salvage a colony if a queen fails, if a queen dies this time of season. There's no drones in the air. There's not going to be any drones for excuse me, for a few more weeks, maybe even a month and a half. This is January 13th. Again, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, ring that bell, and if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. Enjoy your day.